Michigan was on bye last week, which meant I got to sit and watch a lot of other Big Ten teams in action. I'm going to give you a little bit of my thoughts on the state of the conference, and then we'll get into where Michigan is within the thick of all of that. Right here on this episode of Locked On Wolverines.
You are Locked On Wolverines, your daily podcast on the Michigan Wolverines, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy Monday. We are back and doing it. Locked On Wolverines podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. I'm your man on the ground, Isaiah Hole, publisher of Wolverines Wire through USA Today Sports Media Group. Thank you for making us your first listen, and thank you to all of our everydayers out there who check out the show every single day. We do appreciate that. We're going to spend the first couple parts of the show discussing the rest of the Big Ten, and then after that, we'll get into Michigan itself. I know that's kind of normally we're going to talk about Michigan, but obviously we kind of know what we've seen, and there are some things that we hope are fixed, and we're going to be talking about that all week. So let's get more into some of the other teams. So obviously there were a couple really big games that we had I had my eyes on. Of course, you're looking mostly at Michigan's opponents, but not fully, right? Oregon, Penn State. Michigan doesn't have either of them on the schedule. But obviously Ohio State's on the schedule, as is Washington. So Ohio State at Washington is of note. USC at Illinois, because that is, we're going to see USC before too long here. Excuse me, no Illinois this week or this year. It's definitely not this week, but not this year for certain. But then some of the teams that you really wanted to see were on bye this week. Obviously Wisconsin, which is coming up this Saturday, on bye. Michigan State was on bye. Purdue was on bye. Not that Purdue really matters too much. Didn't really watch any of the Northwestern USC or UCLA game, rather. Didn't feel like that was a game that I really wanted to kind of get into. So we didn't. So anyway, and then, Michigan doesn't play Rutgers, Indiana, Iowa. Who did Rutgers play? Minnesota. So those games weren't on there, but did try to pay attention to a little bit of all of them. And so with that in mind, I feel like this is a wide open conference in pretty much every way at the moment. And as much as if any team feels like it's probably the closest to being like the team that could go and just destroy anybody, weirdly, I'd have to say it's Indiana. Because Indiana, we've at least seen do it to a ranked team, which was able to take down another ranked team, which is now not ranked thanks to that loss to Illinois. But, Indiana didn't necessarily play incredible at Iowa, but Iowa's a tough place to play. We know this. We've seen Michigan go there and lose when it had no business doing so. We saw Ohio State go there and lose when it had no business doing so. I would say the same with Penn State, but Penn State, I'm sure Iowa was at least ranked when Penn State's gone there, which meant that Penn State was automatically going to lose. Kind of their thing. But Indiana and Oregon in particular stand out to me. And Ohio State to a lesser extent, but I feel like Indiana's the closest to being complete. And I feel like Oregon's right there. It's kind of a 1A, 1B. And for Michigan, thankfully, they don't have either on the schedule. Because we've seen both of them have like really strong offensive outputs and strong defensive outputs. Now, Indiana did allow essentially 13 points to Iowa, which makes me think, okay, maybe their defense isn't like top tier, like Ohio State looks to be at the moment, right? And like Michigan tends to be. But at the same time, Iowa has improved. And I feel like at the same time, it is complementary football in a lot of ways. And you see just how explosive they can be, especially with Fernando Mendoza at the helm. You have to excuse a little of stammering and stuff. I feel better right now, but I had fighting something off all weekend. And so I haven't talked a heck of a lot. So it might be a little stuttery. But Fernando Mendoza, I feel like, is maybe he and Dante Moore might be the two best quarterbacks in the league at the moment. I think they are both very, very, very good. I was really impressed with Oregon. The only thing about Oregon is they had opportunities to put Penn State truly away, and then they didn't. Now, again, that's good team versus good team. Like, you know, two teams that you would think are contending for a national championship. I don't know about putting Penn State in that category, just kind of given, you know, like you meet the new boss, same as the old boss. You know, that type of thing. But I think that nonetheless, Oregon's got kind of a little bit of everything. Now, they got gashed a little bit in the run late. Penn State got a little tricky when it came to being able to navigate different types of run fits. Whether it was the quarterback run, different kinds of counters, outside zone, all that kind of stuff that they were running against Oregon that got them kind of all worked up into a tizzy. But I mean, at the same time, I still think that that's a pretty complete team. Behind that, now, this obviously we just talked a lot about a couple teams Michigan doesn't have on the schedule. Ohio State, I'm not saying this to be a hater. I'm not. I'm saying this because I'm parsing things to the nth degree. I think the defense is, I don't want to say surprisingly good, but if you're a Detroit Lions fan or even a New England Patriots fan, seeing Matt Patricia having this type of success is surprising. I want to see it against more. I feel like Washington's front was a little too undersized on both sides to be able to take advantage of the line of scrimmage. So I want to see them against a more traditional Big Ten looking team compared to Washington. But I'm not going to sit and pretend like it didn't matter that they held what has looked like an explosive offensive mastermind Jed Fish to just 6 points at home, breaking a 22-game home winning streak. I think that they are very good as far as being able to do some things defensively. It feels an awful lot like 22-23 Jesse Minter in a lot of ways. Not stylistically, but just get what you can get. Good luck. Now, Washington shot itself in the foot quite a few times as well. Thought the play calling was very meh at times, especially down in the red zone. I think some of it was Ohio State, but some of it was Washington. Mixture of bad play calling, failure to execute, weird penalties, you know, all that kind of stuff, I think kind of contributed. But if I'm looking at Ohio State, offensively, I'm very confused why they're not more. I've saw some people complain about their offensive line, Ohio State fans. I actually didn't think their offensive line was that bad. I think their run game, which does speak to the offensive line. I thought the run game, like they need to settle on Bo Jackson rather than CJ Donaldson and James Peoples. I think Julian Sayin is poised. And he's talented, but I don't know if he's otherworldly, which is kind of like the last two guys that they've had, Will Howard and Kyle McCord. With Washington, I just think that they are so undersized up front, particularly on defense, that I feel like Michigan's going to run all over them. I'm curious to see, like, Michigan's going to need to find a way to be a heck of a lot more complete offensively to be able to take advantage of Ohio State on that side of the ball. But I think their defense is more scary than their offense, and I think it's like not even close. But they're a very, very good team. I don't know that they're as good as we kind of are led to believe. That's not saying that they're not a top 5 team. They very well might be that, even as I say that. But that's also kind of the state of college football right now. I don't know that there's any team that out there at the moment that I look at and say, any given Saturday, does a team like Michigan have a chance to win? And that you can just say an automatic no. Indiana to me is almost the scariest because they're the only team that's gone out and just flat out clowned a ranked team. And that was 2 weeks ago. All right, we've got a lot more to get to, and we're going to do that here in just a moment. Before we do, and I put the wrong window on my screen, so I got to drag this over. There we go. There we go. Caffeine just got a flavor upgrade. 5-Hour Energy shots deliver tasty caffeine in 17 bold flavors. Each 2-ounce shot packs the caffeine of a premium 12-ounce cup of coffee plus V vitamins and nutrients with 0 sugar and 0 crashes. What I love most is how portable they are. Big taste, tidy shot. You can take it anywhere and get that boost whenever and wherever you need it. I always reach for any kind of citrus flavor because like it just doesn't really matter which one. I'm just gonna like anything citrus or sour, blue raspberry type, because it's refreshing, gives me that quick lift before a busy day, and I love how fast it kicks in. And the fact that it's sugar free means that you can do it guilt free. You don't have to worry about crashing later as well. Enough of the boring, flavorless caffeine. It's time to give your caffeine a flavor upgrade with 5-hour energy shots. Get the favorites you love or be bold and try something new in-store and online at 5hourenergy.com or Amazon today. All right. I was going to say, speaking of energy, it's not an energy drink. That's my A&D ice cream, A&W ice cream sundae, 0 sugar, which is, I'm still just, again, not a sponsor, but it's the most delicious thing. I shouldn't even tell you because it's limited edition. I'm having a hard time finding it already. But man, it is incredible. All right. Let's talk a little bit USC, who's Michigan's, next opponent, right? They have Wisconsin. And I want to talk about Wisconsin, who didn't play, but USC is going to be, I think, a similar, almost identical challenge, but tougher in many ways to that of Nebraska. Now, I think the thing about playing at USC is it is a sold out game. I don't think it's going to be I think it's probably going to be about half and half. I'm not going for, just so you know, I will be your man at home that weekend. Unfortunately, due to my continued inability to fly without panic attacks. So we're staying that one home here. But I think that it's going to be interesting because they can throw the ball all over the yard. Mekhi Lemon was insane in this game. I think he is just an absolute menace. And I think that the Jaden Maiava, Mekhi Lemon duo is more dangerous than Dylan Raiola and pick either Dane Key or Ja'Cory, whatever his name is. So I think that is going to be a challenge. At the same time, and I tweeted this, apparently, I'll get to that in a second, but I tweeted watching how much Illinois was able to control the defensive front for USC. It's Justice Haynes and Jordan Marshall have to be absolutely salivating. Now, there's two responses to that I got in general that are absurd. Number one, the Michigan fan being like, "Oh, we can't look ahead. We got Wisconsin this week." I can do whatever I want, and so can you. You're not on the team. I don't mean like literally like, yeah, maybe Justice Haynes and Jordan Marshall, they had the, Saturday off. They could sit there and watch the game. They could be watching and be like, "Oh man, yeah, we might have we might be able to do something." But when it comes to like focus, like we can focus on next year if we want. We can focus on Ohio State. I can talk about a game 10 years from now. It doesn't matter. Doesn't affect the outcome of this game. Well, we got to keep your focus week to week. Okay, great. The other part are the Ohio State fans that went back and assumed I was talking about them because they don't have the capability of understanding whatsoever how timestamps work. And wasn't like Washington was running the ball over them. So why would you think I was talking about you? I don't know. They just got a bunch of them just came over and got really upset at that all of a sudden. Like it's the Carly Simon song. "You're so vain, you probably think this song is about you." Like why would you think that was about you an hour before your game? Why? Makes no sense. But anyway, USC, it just feels like that feels kind of like it will have a similar type of look as the Nebraska game, except for I think Michigan's offense should be able to kind of get what it wants in that. Now, the big thing obviously is the time zone change, right? Michigan's not had luck historically. Although weirdly, the only other regular season game that they ever played at USC in 1957, which was the year my mom was born, they won. But generally, The weird little stat. Michigan's played USC 3 times in the regular season. It's 3-0 in regular season games against the Trojans. But it's 2-6 in Rose Bowls. So it's kind of interesting. But I was really, really impressed with the offense. But I just don't think I don't think that the Trojans are built for the Big Ten. I think that you're going to see something kind of similar happen to them this year, assuming Michigan goes there and takes care of business, because I just don't think that you're going to be able to do that kind of finesse offense defense. It's funny because D'Anton Lynn's obviously trying to run the Wink Martindale defense. It's just they number one, don't have the athletes to do it. Number two, they don't have the athletes to do it. So it's not really working that great. Now, kudos to them for going to a tough place to play, Champaign, and finding a way to almost come back and win, right? Come back late and take the lead. But man, I think that if you're facing a tougher team, I just feel like, and we'll get to this momentarily, and this is kind of the point, watching everybody, I'm not as... There just isn't that danger team on the schedule, and I don't think Ohio State's that either. This is not me ripping you Buckeye fans. You've got a lot of youth. I think your defense is incredible, Ohio State. I just don't know that you have that complete package. Now, was week 5. You might have it by the time that you get to week 14. I don't know. But same thing could be said of Michigan, right? And right now, I kind of feel like if Michigan fixes a couple little things, I think it can be right there. Let's talk about exactly that. Let's do so here in just a moment. But before we do, one of the tools that help make a huge difference for business owners is Quo, formerly OpenPhone. It's the same great business phone system you've heard me talk about before, but just with a new name. And here's why it matters. Every missed call is money left on the table. When every customer conversation counts, you need a phone system that keeps you connected 24/7. Quo is the #1 business phone system that streamlines customer communications, works right through an app on your phone or computer, so there's no more carrying 2 phones or relying on a landline. What about Quo, formerly known as OpenPhone, lets your team share one number and collaborate on calls and texts. It's like a shared inbox, so no customer gets left hanging. See why over 90,000 businesses trust Quo, formerly OpenPhone. Get started for free and get 20% off your first 6 months at quo.com/lockedoncollege. That's quo.com/lockedoncollege. And if you've got existing numbers with another service, Quo will port them over at no extra charge. Quo, no missed calls, no missed customers. All right, we're going to continue on here momentarily. But before we do, the NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer that you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 to get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right, pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. One of the great things I love about FanDuel is there's so many ways you can play. I've built parlays, tried player props, and even followed live lines during games. Makes watching football even more exciting when you've got a little something riding on the action. Whether you're a casual fan or love diving into the stats, FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. I just think it's funny. You hear me laughing during ad reads. It's just not feeling well for a couple days, and I know there's going to be a bunch of you're sick all the time. Okay, is it something that I choose or that I like? No, it's not. And I'm not sick all the time, but I was fighting something off, and it happens this week every year, if you notice, or this week or around this week. Like last year, it was Washington, which was week 6. The year before, it was the same deal. The year before, it was the same deal. It just happens that way around this time of year with the weather change, or the weather hasn't even changed, but the season change. It's just funny to me how I just can't seem to be coherent. So I'm just laughing at myself for the inability to just coherently tell you something. And that's just kind of the whole show. It's like I've never done a show before. Take one off. I've never done one before. 1 plus a weekend. I feel like Michigan is in a spot where it could certainly do some damage this year. But obviously, it's got to win on the road first and foremost. That's the next step. That's the next thing that it's got to do. You know, it did it against Nebraska, and that's a great thing, but it's got to do it while traveling all the way across the country. I think the encouraging thing, weirdly, is like what last year, I think teams traveling from either Pacific to Eastern or vice versa were 0 for, or like 1 for last year. And I think it was Penn State at USC was like the only one that was like that cross country trip that worked. And weirdly, you had 2 of them this weekend, with Ohio State going to Washington and Oregon coming to Penn State. The road teams won on both of those, which is just interesting. Obviously, Michigan's got Wisconsin the week before. That's going to be the first thing that's going to tell us a little something, right? Because Wisconsin has got the number 1 run defense in the country. Now, we talked about going into Nebraska. They had the number 1 pass defense in the country. And Michigan leaned mostly on its run game and therefore did its thing. I want to see not just Michigan lean on its pass game, because I think Michigan needs to still be able to run. Number 1, I want to see Justice Haynes continue to get 100-plus yards every game. I want to see him break out a big one every game. But it's an opportunity to show that you kind of fixed the glitches, right? And so the big thing for me and everyone is obviously the drops. We talked about that all last week. I think that if you have a healthier Marlon Klein, who did play in the last game, no Hogan Hansen, so you bring back a healthy Hogan Hansen, who hasn't really gotten an opportunity yet too much. If those 2 guys are healthy, and say like some of those other guys that have maybe not quite earned those rotational spots can start to kind of get going, get hot. Like, okay, Samaj and Channing, figure out how to catch the football. At the same time, like, I want to see more Andrew Marsh. I want to see more Kendrick Bell. I want to see more of the guys. What's his name? Anthony Simpson. I want to see more of those guys get that opportunity. I want to see some more Jamar Browder. And honestly, they should be throwing more to Donovan McCulley as it is, because he's shown that he can go up and get it. Even like the one that was called out of bounds, I think that was kind of, negligible. I think that shows like, hey, he can go up and get something. So why are they not going more at him? That should be the primary read almost every play. And then until other teams just stop it, because he doesn't catch everything thrown his way, but pretty close. Some of the ones that have been thrown his way have been essentially overthrown, but otherwise he hasn't been dropping anything. So if they can get that fixed, and why am I like really feeling that? Is because in general, I feel like the line play that Michigan has now, granted, Central Michigan and Nebraska, that doesn't necessarily tell us everything. Michigan got overwhelmed on both the offensive and defensive lines against Oklahoma, but it feels like that was kind of like okay, so we need to play better than that type of moment. So I really want to see if they can continue to manhandle teams up front. If they can manhandle Wisconsin, which I don't know enough about Wisconsin and their line play offhand. I haven't watched them yet this year. But if they can manhandle Wisconsin, they should be able to manhandle USC based off of what I've seen of them in 2 games. They should be in a really good spot. Now, you got to continue to improve because Ohio State's going to be a big challenge come at the end of the year. But you get past Wisconsin, which I would imagine they will. I believe FanDuel has them as a 16-point favorite right now. You get past Wisconsin, you get past USC, it's like the sky's the limit. You should at that point then go into Ohio State at 10-1. You should. But you got to get past these next couple games. Washington's not going to be easy, but it's going to be, I'll be interested to see if that ends up being like if that's a noon kick for Washington. It probably won't be because I just feel like we're not that lucky. Then I think that's going to be a good place to go. But the more that I watch teams across college football, the more I feel like Michigan is in a really good spot because it is capable of running the football. Not necessarily at will. It's a lot more explosive runs. But if they can continue, like that's kind of what it was at the beginning of 2021 as well. Michigan wasn't just running the ball at 5, like I guess against Washington, it kind of was. But I mean, you still mostly were relying heavily on, man, they're just able to run it 4 or 5 yards every single time. They did that in the latter half against Nebraska. But generally, if you remember back to 2021, a lot of it was Blake Corum was kind of doing an impression of what we see from Justice Haynes now, right? It just seemed like Blake Corum was going to rip off a long run almost every game. And then he got hurt. And then it became the Hassan Haskins show. Now, it wasn't just that. I know it was tough against Wisconsin in 2021 as well. But, yeah. All right. That's the show. That's it. That's all we got. So tomorrow I'm debating on how that's going to go. We might do a basketball show because we got basketball media days. I think that's probably likely. Then we'll do Jack Tuttle and Connor Stallions on Wednesday and Thursday, and then we'll do the preview on Friday. So that's the plan for the week. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. We will talk to you again soon. Peace.